UNC freshman wing Drake Powell headed to the NBA draft. This is something that did not catch UNC by surprise when you have highly regarded freshmen who are projected to be one and done. They tend to only be at your school for 1 year. Powell's production during the season, his numbers aren't eye catching. 7.4 points per game, 3.4 rebounds. It's kind of nondescript. But his pedigree, his defense, and the fact he showed an improved 3-point shot this season, 38% from behind the arc, there's enough appeal there for him to go to the draft. And I believe he's leaving the door open on a return, but has said he's 100% committed to the draft. UNC is not expecting him back. I think that only happens if things really go awry in the pre draft process. But Drake Powell to the NBA, what do you make of the decision for him? And then we'll get into later what this means for UNC.
Um, I saw this coming a mile away. I've been saying it since it started. He was a one and done. Um, wasn't really given opportunity to show much, in my opinion. I think he is a there's certain guys that are worse playing college basketball, and I think he's one of those guys. Excuse me. So I've been saying the whole time, I think he goes. It makes the most sense for him to go. I don't know if he gets drafted, but I think once he gets to the NBA, he'll get an opportunity. He's way too big of an athlete. He can shoot the ball. He's a freak on defense. He's actually like a really good defender. And I think when you combine all of those things, if he can become the type of guy that actually, I said this on a Sean Stewart video as well. Really good athlete. Ball goes in air, you grab ball, bring ball down, either pass the point guard or dribble up the court after a rebound. This guy can be for a guard because I do believe he's a guard, especially in the league. He can be a guard that averages 4 or 5 rebounds a game in the league. If he
Yeah.
does that combined with the defense, I don't know if I see him shooting 38% from three in the NBA with the line being a little farther back, as well as just the other athletes that are on the court. But if he's in that 33 to 35% range, that's fine. That's totally fine. So I think everything he brings to the table screams NBA. It didn't make much sense for him to stick around.
Yeah, he came to school, had the reputation in high school, came to college with pedigree being a phenomenal defender. That was reputation. He showed that throughout his freshman season. Like he's a really, really good perimeter defender. You add a better than expected 3-point shot, there's still work to be done on it, but a better than expected shot, like you get the 3 and D stamp from the NBA right away. And I think Drake Powell had like we were waiting for that stamp. He kind of stamped that this year with the improved percentage from three. That's incredibly appealing when you have a guy who's 6'6", can guard twos and threes on the perimeter as well as he can, who's not going to be a liability when you put him in the corner on the offensive end. I think there's a role for him. Like he's not Ryan Dunn in terms of how good he is defensively and how bad he was in college offensively, but like Ryan Dunn got to the league and got to a spot where they were really working on his development shooting and became a really, really good player right away as a rookie. I think Powell can get into a system where you really focus on improving that shot, and I think he can make an impact sooner rather than later in a Herb Jones kind of role.
He needs to go to the NBA where he only has to focus on basketball and he has the best coaches in the world around him. You know, he's going to get his own personal shooting coach where he goes. Honestly, hey, Warriors, we got the 41st pick. Let Steph coach him. Let Steph coach him. I think if he goes to like allegedly, and I don't know how true any of this stuff is. Allegedly, the Pelicans have a really good shooting coach, and no one on the team can shoot though. So that's my thing. All these teams that have no one that can shoot have these really good shooting coaches, but no one makes baskets. But like if he goes to the Pelicans, who allegedly have a really good shooting coach, the Lakers, we've seen a lot of development from guys. And turn them into shooters. The Clippers as well. Like I think if he can go to like a team that has shown the ability to develop shooters along with what he already brings to the table, yeah, he's going to be a really good NBA player. And he didn't need to come to college for his sophomore year. Neither did Ian Jackson, by the way. But I do respect that Ian's doing it.
Ian may have needed to if he's going to play point guard.
I think playing point guard in the league and playing point guard in college are so different, though.
Very different. I also don't think Ian had the defense to fall back on like Drake does. Like Ian projects to the NBA as a scorer. That's what he does well. And he was not consistent enough with it to be a first round pick.
We interrupt this sleepers video to tell you about an offer from Underdog Fantasy. Cart, you love Underdog Fantasy, correct?
Of course I do. Can I have a moment real quick?
Please. Thank you for that. In fact, I'm going to cut you off because our listeners like when we keep these short and sweet. Underdog Fantasy. Sign up as a new user. Use promo code SLEEPERS. Get bonus funds up to $1,000, 50% of your deposit match. The NBA playoffs are rocking right now. I played Underdog last week with a Cade Cunningham line. I'm looking forward to doing it throughout the entire first round of the NBA playoffs, but there's more. You can place picks on golf. You can place picks on baseball. You can place picks on the NHL playoffs that are rocking right now. Join Underdog Fantasy, promo code SLEEPERS. Support this show so that we can keep bringing videos to you. Back to the video.
I think there's a good chance Powell still ends up being a first round pick. You get a 3-and-D guy going to one of those contenders picking in the 20s. Like we see that happen every single year where they look like reaches, but they have a skill set that those kind of teams really put emphasis on and really favor. Powell is that, right? So I think it's smart he's going. Fit's going to matter a lot because I don't think he needs to. His game is not suited for him to carry a large offensive burden. Not that he can't score or be a productive offensive player, but he's not going to be like one of your top 3 guys.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Or even one of your top 5 guys offensively. He needs to be a defense first specialist who also is not a liability on the offensive end. You get that at an NBA level for him, there's a spot for him in a rotation, I think, sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think I don't know a nice way to say this. Him and Ian ain't starting in the NBA. Like
No.
when I say they're better off in the NBA, that's because I believe in the league, it's important to have guys that just play roles. I feel that way about college too. Also,
Yeah.
college needs something like when I say in the league, that sounds different. Like we need something about that for like yo, I'm going to the association. Like that sounds different. College needs something like yo, I'm going to the madness. But anyway, like I think in the league you need guys that like play roles. Um, and I'm not sure. I think they fit roles. Like that's why I say Ian might as well have gone. He's going to learn to be a starting point guard. He's not a starting point guard in the league. He's not a starting 2 in the league. Like we're talking, he's like a Jamal Crawford to me, Lou Williams. It's a role that, in my opinion, has clearly phased out of the sport a little bit. But it is a role that has existed, and I think he could bring it back. But I definitely don't find him to be a starting point guard in the league or a starting 2. And that's why I think he should just go and try to, figure out whatever role that is, you figure it out on the fly. That's what Drake's doing, right? Like Drake's going, 19-year-old kid. He probably still thinks he's going to be like the next all-star superstar, right? But the quicker you get into it, the quicker you get, I don't want to say humbled, but humbled. And the quicker you develop into your role, right? Like he gets drafted to the Celtics, hypothetically, like one of those contenders in the 20s. Him and Tatum go at it in practice once or twice. He's like, okay, welcome to the league. Now, now I got to figure out where I fit in. And I think the longer you put that off, like the harder it becomes on you. Especially if you're putting it off to be a multimillionaire in college, in the Mecca, in playing in the Garden. Like I love Ian Jackson. This was the right decision by Drake Powell for a million reasons that I think what Ian Jackson's decision was is the wrong one.
Powell, I probably spent some time in the G League working on his shot. I think working on his offensive game. But depending on where he goes, I think will determine how long that time is. There are teams in situations where he would be in the rotation, I think, as a rookie at the NBA level. And so I think so. You don't think he'd get minutes on like Portland because of his defense?
Nah.
He'd get minutes on Charlotte because of his defense.
Okay, maybe Charlotte. Maybe Charlotte. Well, it depends on who Charlotte takes early. So if Charlotte, because Charlotte's gonna pick like 3rd, right? So if Charlotte leaves the draft with Ace Bailey, and now we're talking about Ace Bailey, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, like wing trio. You also have LaMelo. I think they probably have a Martin twin, most likely. I don't know if that's true, but that feels like something Charlotte has.
We
So
did.
like
I don't know if we do anymore, but I know that we did.
But you know what I mean? Like at that point, you're 1 or 2 role players signing with Charlotte away from being out the rotation. I think Drake's the type of guy year one that plays in the G League until about March. And once everybody like starts tanking, that's when we get like I think we get a 40 ball Drake game in the middle of March.
I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate that. I would, yeah. Just pulled up the Hornets depth chart. Um, I know there were some injuries. At the end of the season, their top 2 point guards were KJ Simpson and Damian Ball. Their starting small forward was Josh Green. The backup was Daquan Jeffries.
Yeah, injuries.
There's spots for him in the league.
Hey, he's not playing over Josh Green though.
No, but he's probably playing over Daquan Jeffries.
Yeah, but see, but the idea wasn't for Daquan Jeffries to play. You know what I mean? Like, there's a spot for Drake Powell in the league. If injuries happen, once teams start tanking, I just think if when he gets drafted to a team or chooses a team undrafted, he won't have a role right away. If he comes in training camp, preseason, kills it and earns it, maybe. Or if someone gets hurt, then yeah, subsequently he'll have an opportunity. But I think it's really, really hard to crack NBA rotations. Terrence Shannon Jr. with Rob Dillingham were both unable to do it. Moody and Kuminga were unable to do it early on. Like I think it's hard to crack an NBA rotation as a rookie.
Situations matter a lot because it's
Yeah,
much different with a contenders like Minnesota and Golden State versus places like Charlotte and Washington.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
two very different things. But long term, we think this is the right decision for Drake Powell. Sorry, North Carolina. Excited to see where his career goes.